Okay, can I go ahead? Cool, thank you very much. My name is Nicklas Keijser, and thank you for attending this lightning talk. I will talk about a ransomware called, or something called Cicada 3301. So let's start this one. Anyone who knows what Cicada 3301 is from the start? Yes. Just scream it out. It's a challenge, like an internet mystery that started on 4chan. But this is not that cicada. This is about this Cicada 3301, which is a new ransomware as a service actor, which we have been dealt with, that have stolen their appearances. And even the previous one, Cicada 3301, stated, okay, we are not the ransomware gang, this is someone else, so we will not support this one. But I'm going to dig into this threat actor. And this is actually ESXi ransomware. And shout out to the Security Fest if you're interested in that stuff. Check out their YouTube link. Me and my colleague did a long talk about ESXi ransomware there. So if you want to know about, we can talk about that later on. And but this is the sort of the stuff you will see if you get ransomware, which is kind of crappy. Though what's interesting with this ransomware, it is actually a Rust binary. And why do they do Rust binary on ESXi? Because ESXi is kind of Linux, but not Linux. And with Rust, you can actually cross-compile that stuff. And if you open even the comment sort of section, you can figure out this is a Rust binary. So this is cross-compiled ransomware, functional on different OSs. So what do this ransomware do? These are the arguments you will see. So this will be like a reversing stuff that will lead into threat intel. This is stuff you see. And what could this be? Could we have like an easier output of this? I just give it a dash help. And this is actually a ransomware we investigated. So the ransomware gives you a dash help. Why do you think you have a help from a ransomware? That doesn't make sense, does it? Well, actually it does, because I would say there's two reasons why. Probably the ransomware developer is not part of the ransomware gang. And also this is a ransomware as a service, so they actually rent out the ransomware to other affiliates. So once on that system, they want help as well. And if you're involved into IR, it's very helpful as well. I just dash help, and how do I run this ransomware? First thing, looking at this ransomware, because they have been active since June, so this is brand spanking new. We could see they had this sort of function called Linux Inc. And then we have a main, collect files, and by doing so, we can kind of figure out already just by searching for Linux Inc. How do this ransomware work? And this bear a kind of a meaning to what we're going to investigate further on. So it has this sort of key. So you need to provide it a key. And if I give it a wrong key, it will tell me key is invalid, and I can't run ransomware. A colleague of mine called it, I don't have the right permission to run it. And though, if I give it the right key, I can actually get it started, and you can even pass it a --UI, which gives me this GUI when I ransomware my stuff, and I get this kind of statistic terminal when this stuff runs. So if we start digging deeper into this ransomware, one of the first things it does this sort of check before jumping into this function you see here, check key and get rec text. To be able to jump into that function, you need this length of 2C. 2C is actually 44. But so we start from 0 in computers, so we need a length of 45 characters for it to start the ransomware. Once we start the ransomware, we jump in here. We see this sort of blob, which is a base 64 blob-ish. And that is kind of interesting because we take that sort of base 64 blob, and then we decode it, base 64 decoded, but then also we have this cha-cha init state expand 32K. Anyone knows what that is? It's a symmetric encryption. So this key that we pass on is actually a key to decrypt that base 64 blob. And when we do that, we can actually decrypt the ransomware message. So we need to pass the correct key, otherwise this ransomware note will not be decrypted. And then the ransomware itself uses a final check to see, have I encrypted this message before passing along further. There are some other configuration files within this one. One of the things it does, it has this command as well, so you can for stopping virtual machines, and I parsed it out for you. So it uses these two arguments to stop the virtual machines. And why do they want to stop virtual machines? Because if you ransomware a virtual machine, it can break. And if you break it, doesn't make sense from a ransomware's perspective to encrypt it. So this is some of the stuff. But also this kind of bearing to what I'm going to show in the last slide. When we start encrypting, when we pass these steps, we get this size comparison. If you see here, we have this 64 and 50, 6.4 million. That's roughly 100 megabyte comparison it does. If it's below, it will actually do this full encryption. If it's above, it will do this encrypt files in blocks. So everything underneath 100 megabytes, the whole file will be encrypted. Otherwise, it will go into this chunking algorithm, just encrypting parts of it. And then it actually uses cha-cha again, and it generates the key from a Rust binary, random generator from Rust, and then it takes, it has a second public key built into this ransomware, which is a key that will be generated, and take this public key and then encrypt that the symmetric key, cha-cha key, so you encrypt the files with the cha-cha key, and then you encrypt the key with the public key. So in that sense, this is how they unlock the ransomware. This is usually how modern ransomware works. And finally, it writes this BHK00M to the file itself. So this will be part of the ransomware name. So to the most, let's say, interesting part of this, I would say. Looking at all this stuff, when I got involved in this incident, it was in beginning of August, I think. Like all of this, everything seems so similar when I start looking at it. So we have this gang called Alpha V. They also go by the name of Black Hat, that FBI took down just around Christmas. They took down their whole page. And before they were took down, I would say they were probably the second worst ransomware gang around. For instance, they ransomed the Swedish church here, for instance. So it's a nefarious, bad actor. But they were taken down, and then in April, they came back and did like an exit scam. So they tricked one of their affiliates with quite a lot of money and just disappeared in April. What we believe is actually, because they first posted their message in June, and we're looking at this ransomware, we can see it's written in Rust. It's the same as Black Hat. Black Hat also uses cha-cha-20 for encryption, which is also very similar to Black Hat. It has identical commands with shutting down and removing the VM snapshots, which actually can relate back to the dark side ransomware, which did the Colonial Pipeline. We can see the --UI command, which is also the same as the Black Hat. The same, we have also, like when it encrypts the files, it has the same kind of recover file name data. It's identical to Black Hat. And also this way of using the key parameter to decrypt the ransomware note is also, so there's like many things that are similar. After this, we have additional data on this threat actor. And also other companies, apart from TrueSec, has also done investigation pointing at the same director. So we believe that there is maybe some people behind Black Hat that are this Cicada 2020 or a very close affiliate to it. So, which we fear, okay, this might be a bad actor coming back again. So, with that said, if you want to know, we did a blog post about this, so short shout out to that on our webpage, and I guess 8 minutes. Thank you very much.